Okay, dear Dhamma friends, we have come to the English medium retreat at Kalalgoda. So this is the time for question and answer session. I invite to present with the written questions.
Most Venerable Bhante, we've got 7 questions altogether.
Yeah.
I will read out meditation experiences first and then the Dhamma questions.
Yes.
This is about walking meditation. Dear Bhante, I had been meditating with Samatha Bhavana for a very long time. I am quite new to walking meditation. Therefore, I write my experience to know if I am on the correct path. When I start walking, I feel the roughness and the softness of different sized stones. I also feel the warmth and coolness. On my feet movement, I feel how the body rests on one foot when the other foot is moving forward. I am also aware of the knees and hips and then how the body moves forward and realize the noises around me. At the same time, how my eyes keep looking at the sand and that I also see the trees pass by. Now, all of these happen simultaneously. I realize my pace and then I tend to start a little slow and then walk a little faster. As I go on, I get a bit scared because I feel very centralized and there's no end to my walking. Also, I feel as if I am just analyzing and looking over this as an ongoing process of a walk, and for a moment feel a bit detached. Then I stop to know whether I am there and start again. Venerable Bhante, is this normal or am I doing something wrong? Should I walk a bit slower? Thero and Nissarana.
No, actually, you don't need to maintain any kind of specific or any kind of artificial pace. Rather, suppose you are used to some kind of a speed and just maintain that. So basically, there is no any specific speed that you need to maintain. Suppose you are familiar with any certain kind of speed and just maintain that. That is the easiest. Say, for example, while you are going to your work, so kind of to your working place, or while you are moving around in your house, and you may have some sort of a speed and just maintain that same similar speed. And what we actually do is that we are maintaining that same speed, but at the same time, whenever foot touches the ground, then and there we are keeping our attention onto that experience, typically to the limited area of the soul. Actually, it is true that we can sense everything. As you have mentioned, while you are walking, the sideways are passing, maybe the other yogis are available, and even the head, the neck, and the whole body has many experiences. But you don't need to, at this moment, you don't need to worry about everything. Rather, your duty is to just maintain your attention at the soles of each feet. Because here the very first concern is to have some sort of a focused attention, where you are focusing your attention to a very selected area. That area is not a huge area, rather a small area. That area is fairly good enough to have as your sole of the foot. Say when your left foot is touching, so that sole is touching the ground, and at that time just maintain your attention there. If your mind is wandering, just you can do the labeling as if this is the left foot, okay, just label it as left. If it is the right foot, label it as right. At the very moment when it is touching, not before, not after. At the very moment it is touching the ground, name it or label it as it is left. You are very 100% sure it is the left. It is not the right. Rather it is the left. When your right foot is touching, then you are labeling it as right. So it is very simple. And so more and more you familiarize with it, then you can sort of maintain this rhythm, maintain this attention without much effort. And at that time, check whether you can even just be with this experience without making any kind of mental verbalization, any kind of labeling. So actually, when your foot is touching the ground, you have some sensation, you have some feeling, some strong feeling. That is more than enough. So actually, if you can completely be with that feeling, that's the best, without any kind of mental verbalization, any kind of thinking. And your mind is fairly quiet, and your foot is touching the ground, and you know that, you feel it, and you are fully aware about that feeling. So either you can go with the feeling, or if you feel it is the roughness or softness, or maybe some heat, some hot, that sort of any kind of such attribute is all right. You don't need to have any kind of say specific preferences. Rather, whatever you feel, maybe the roughness of the sand, maybe if it is soft, then that maybe the, say, if it is in some dry place, that dryness. If it is in a wet place, that sort of the wetness. Say if it is in a heaty environment, is kind of sunny, then maybe it's maybe dry as well as it may be hot. So as much as possible, see what you can understand there, what you can sense there, what you can feel there. Actually, at the very beginning, you might not feel several of them, but maybe one major one. Say, for example, if it is the sand, maybe the grossness or the hardness. So you start with that, but later on, as your mindfulness improves, you may be able to feel more and more. Not only roughness, but several other characteristics also may be visible to, may be available for you to experience. So those are there. So as the mindfulness is growing, your attention, the more and more details can be visible. And on the other hand, the difference between, now this yogi has mentioned that she or he is familiar with samatha meditation. So difference is, here the object is constantly changing. Say at one time you are observing left foot, and the other time you are experiencing the right foot. The foot is changing, the object is changing, and again the experience per foot also changing. So the experience is constantly changing, but you are maintaining an unbroken mindfulness. So that is the most important thing. So I hope this is clear enough. So if you have any other question, any doubt, feel free to ask. Yeah, we'll go to the next question. Otherwise, yeah.
Venerable Bhante, during walking meditation, if you feel Dhatu Guna, what should you do during the next sitting meditation?
Actually, it depends. Even though you feel, say, these Dhatu Guna, or what you call element characteristics in walking meditation, so once you come to sitting, if you are used to do Anapanasati, breathing meditation, you better continue with that for a while. Because the idea is, in sitting, you can go very deeper and very precise information. But in walking, not to that precision, because your concentration is not strong enough. And again, your posture is fairly changing. But in sitting meditation, you are in a very quiet and a very kind of stable position, and your mind can very precisely locate, precisely understand the details, what's really going on. In order to have that, you can further improve your mindfulness, further improve your concentration if you spend some little more time with Anapanasati. Say another 15 minutes you do Anapanasati, and through that you are coming to a fair concentration. Say, for example, your breathing becomes very subtle, and the breath becomes very subtle, and you can't even distinguish whether it is in-breath or out-breath. To that level, say, your mind is now refined, your mindfulness has improved. So that means the observing mind is fairly precise, fairly refined. So such refinement helps you to see the finer details of the breath, either with the breath or maybe the sensation throughout the body. Actually, you can, and again, say for example, if you are continuing with Anapanasati, Anapanasati itself take you sometimes Anapanasati itself can take you next stage, step by step to the progressive stages. Sometimes Anapanasati gives you the preliminary, say, requirements, the say, for example, concentration, the mindfulness that may be taken from Anapanasati. After that, you are now observing throughout the body, and similar to walking session, you are now observing various element characteristics, Dhatu Guna. So then now you are in line with what you did in walking meditation. In the walking meditation, you completely observe element characteristics. Now after coming to sitting session, you further little refine your mindfulness, concentration through Anapanasati for a while, and once you are satisfied, now you start element meditation or Dhatu Manasikara, and now there is no big difference between walking and the sitting. So I hope this clarifies the question. Is it clear? Or yeah, okay.
Sitting meditation, in-breath versus out-breath. She has written it in point form. After a little while of sitting, concentration on in-breath and out-breath settles in. Within 4 or 5 minutes, in and out-breath transforms from a gross to subtle. After that, feelings and vibrations in different parts of the body can be felt. Even if I feel the severe pains, I am aware that it changes. At this time, my mind goes out. At times, my mind goes out, but I can get back to the primary object easily. During day-to-day life, too, I can feel and absorb the changes. At times, I get angry, but I notice it after a while, and then I feel happy. As explained above, all these changes I realize as Anitya, Dukkha, Anatta, and continue my meditation daily.
Good. Actually, more and more you observe different attitudes, emotions, thoughts and all, everything. So you basically will see how they are coming and going. They are not really strong as we think, and they are simply fairly weak if we are not fertilizing them, if we are not strengthening them. So actually we are the ones strengthening the thoughts. So if you are able to observe the mind when thoughts are coming and going, it helps you to understand now this is another kind of a process which I don't need to claim as mine. So different thoughts are coming. Maybe lustful thoughts are coming, maybe aversive thoughts are coming, maybe say this sort of conceitful thoughts are coming, but none of them belongs to me. Certain conditions are there. Due to those conditions, these thoughts are popping up, and they are coming and then going. So you are observing as a neutral observer. It's very interesting. But the only thing is, so if you don't have enough mindfulness while you are watching, when some kind of a feeling, some kind of an emotion is building up its strength, sometimes it might take you inside. Say you might get caught up to the content of the thought. So that is the little risk there. So that is why Buddha is instructing. So before you go for observing the mind, you develop fair amount of mindfulness and concentration through Kayanupassana and Vedananupassana. Say using the body and using the feelings, you can develop fair amount of mindfulness and concentration. And with that developed mindfulness, now you can watch the thoughts, the Chittanupassana and Dhammanupassana. So that way it is very less chance for you to get caught up in the content of the thoughts. So, but anyway, if you can really understand that thoughts are coming and going and they are impermanent, and if we are expecting any kind of satisfaction, then we'll be sort of, we won't get it and we'll be frustrated. And due to this transient nature, so these are fairly unsatisfactory, and none of them are fully in your control. So if you understand these three characteristics, that is the advantage. So that is what we expect through this observation. More and more you do a fair amount of observation, more and more your understanding develops, the wisdom develops. And each and every of these thoughts will teach you how impermanent they are, how unsatisfactory they are, and how much they are running on their own agenda, to their own sort of kind of a way, without allowing us much of a control. So more we understand, and again another beautiful thing is then you are further and further detached from the process, and then thoughts, the rate of thoughts coming reduce, or the frequency of thoughts reduce. Therefore you might even notice there are little gaps in between thoughts. There may be little gaps in between thoughts. So then it's further easy. One thought is coming and then disappearing. Another thought is coming, disappearing. Another thought is coming, disappearing. Another thought is coming, disappearing. Likewise, then you are refining. You are observing very carefully, thought by thought now coming and going. Thought and thought coming and going. And in between, you might even feel there's a little gap. One thought coming and going, and then after a little gap, then another thought coming and going. After a little gap, another thought coming and going, or rising and passing away. More and more you observe like that, then the picture difference. At the beginning you thought it's a kind of a chain of thoughts, or continuous unbroken thoughts. Now it's broken. Now it's like there are gaps in between. And more you understand this transient nature of each thought, then more and more this gap increases. So your clarity of mind further improves. So this is something very beneficial for ourselves, to see how we are trapped in these thoughts. But the real nature of the mind is not the thoughts. So you can simply let go of thoughts, and you can simply plunge into the simple awareness that you can aware that thoughts are coming and going. And you can simply be aware. This awareness you can use as a refuge for yourself. Yes. Yeah.
Venerable Bhante, after being established in walking meditation with sati, number 1, could a yogi change the object of meditation to vipassana? Example, anicca, dukkha, anatta. And number 2, if so, how can it be done?
So what is the meditation object?
Walking meditation. She's doing walking meditation, and what she says is, after being established in walking meditation with sati, could a yogi change the object of meditation to vipassana?
No, actually, you don't need to purposefully do it. It naturally happens. Say, for example, you are observing the various sensations, and only at the beginning we use various techniques to establish mindfulness. So once the mindfulness has established, those preliminary techniques you can discard, and you now simply aware of different sensations. Say your left foot is touching, and different sensations are available. Right foot is touching, different sensations are available, and now you are very closely observing them. So different sensations. Say something is rough, something is gross, something is soft, something may be hot, another something cold. So different sensations are there. Those actually you can't say that this is not vipassana also, because typically we don't observe like this. Rather we trapped in thoughts. But now we are precisely seeing what is arising. So different elements have their own representations. Say for example, the Patavi Dhatu, or what you call earth element, manifests as hardness, softness, roughness, smoothness, heaviness, and lightness. So whenever you observe them, any of these characteristics, now you recognize there's a presence of earth element. So it's a recognition of the elements. So that itself is a good understanding. And even there you can say, okay, recognizing these elements is one side, and the elements are in one side, and the knowing is another side. So knowing happens within yourself, and what you know is the element characteristics. So now you do some kind of a differentiation, kind of a delimiting. Elements are there, knowing is here. The knowing side is to your side, and the elements are into something external like. So you do this kind of a differentiation, and sometimes we call it as Nama Rupa Paricheda. where distinguishing between the knowing or the mental aspects and the material aspects. So you do that's kind of a distinguishment. So and then suppose now further and further you are observing like that, then you loses the characteristics, the individual characteristics. So each and every element has their own individual characteristics, and slowly they disappear, but they have their own sort of common characteristics. Say roughness, they coming and going. Roughness was not there, now roughness arises and it lasts for a while and then disappear. Say heat, it's arising, lasts for a while and then it disappears. So slowly now you are coming to these common characteristics. So this is again vipassana. So therefore it's naturally taking you to vipassana. You don't need to purposefully, okay, at this moment, at this juncture, I need to change it to vipassana. It's not necessary. Naturally, the meditation itself is taking you in the correct path. Yeah.
Honorable Bhante, please explain how to get rid of raga in more details.
Interesting topic. So you will be 100% successful once you are a non-returner. Till that, we have to struggle with it. So, and sometimes we might think it's an easy task to completely eliminate raga and dosa, but it is not. So we have to be very humble. We have to be very realistic. These are sort of ingrained characteristics of all the humans and all the beings. So that is how this whole life cycle being maintained, the whole animal, the structure being maintained, and therefore, our human body is made for these things. So we are.
Bhante, there is a British person who will not understand what is raga and moha.
Yes, okay. Raga equals lust and dosa equals hatred or the aversion. So raga is the Pali term and dosa is the Pali term for aversion. So overcoming lust and aversion is a fairly tedious task, and you have to it happens very slowly. Say for example, say you are doing Anapanasati, and why your mind constantly going out is due to this Kamachanda, due to this sensual pleasures. So our mind does not like to be with a very neutral kind of object. Rather, it likes some kind of variation. So constantly going to different variations and not being able to satisfy with the very neutral object. So that is the very kind of characteristics of the lust. And then suppose you are able to establish mindfulness, simply be with breath, and that indicates now temporarily you are able to overcome sensual pleasure, kamachanda. So that's a good task. Achievement in a way. But still, things are still available. So you shouldn't overestimate thinking that now I am free from lust. Lust is entirely there, but temporarily you are subsiding them through the concentration. And real attack actually happens, I think, once the Sakkaya Ditthi also has to be eliminated, by seeing that these things are sort of not there is no person here in the body, as well as there is no person in the thoughts, and say they are very transient. Thoughts are very transient, and the body, the material structure is entirely transient. That is where you are. That understanding comes through the Dhatu Manasikara, and thoughts. The understanding of the thoughts coming through the Chittanupassana. So likewise, it happens very slowly with the wisdom development. So you are developing wisdom. You understand now when lust, in order for lust to arise, we have to take this body as something permanent, something beautiful, and it belongs to me. And the other person, there's another person as a personifying, and that it is she or he is very beautiful. So likewise, some kind of precondition is there in our mind. So still this preconditioning you can't understand. So, but overcoming lust temporarily, there are several methods. Say, for example, so you are using Anapanasati or whatever another meditation object, and you are simply keeping your attention there. Temporarily, you can overcome lust. Another antidote is, say, you are using Asubha Bhavana, where completely opposite side you are constantly reminding the repulsive meditation. So you see the body as loathsome, very repulsive, different parts are there, none of them are beautiful, none of them are attractive. So likewise you go through the whole body and you understand nothing is beautiful. And that way you can still temporarily overcome lust. And then, say for example, you are getting to Chittanupassana level, and now you observe the mind, because the lust is available in the mind, and the mind get deluded through the body, but body is in a way innocent. Body is not the real problem, but the mind has the real ignorance. So more and more we observe the mind, then we understand there is a lustful thoughts, and it is coming and going. There's a aversion that's also coming and going. Now we are observing the operation in the mind. So different thoughts are there, they are coming and going. So then how lust become my lust? How hatred become my hatred? So it is hatred, it is not my hatred. It is lust, it is not my lust. So it's a kind of a complete kind of a realization happen. Thoughts are thoughts. Different emotions are emotions. Emotions are not me. Emotions are coming and going, but sometimes due to my own, say, ignorance, I am attaching to that. I get hold on to these different emotions. I get hold on to these different thoughts. So, but if I am released my hand and let them pass through, then they coming and go. So they are coming, they are rising, and then they last for a while, and then they disappear. So likewise, now you step back and start observing these different processes, coming and going. So that fairly reduces the impact of maybe lust and the hatred. But still things are there. So, but more and more Buddha says, understanding these things, how they are coming and going, when lust arises, you are observing it, how it is arising, how it is changing, how it is disappearing, without getting caught to them. So more and more you realize them, more and more you recognize them. Lust is lust, it is not aversion. Aversion is aversion, not lust. Say conceit is conceit. Likewise, you different mentalities or different defilements you recognize, and you are not promoting them, you are not getting deluded by them, and simply recognizing them and allow them to pass away. They are rising due to causes are there. They are rising, and simply you are observing them, not getting caught up with them, not identifying with them, and now they are passing away. More and more you do like that, then slowly, the power of lust, power of greed, and all these defilements slowly reduce. And Buddha says, understanding lust as lust is one important part of his Dhamma. Sandittika, I don't know what's the English term for Sandittika. Sandittika means that in this the present moment that things are visible, things are available. It is not in the future life, but in this very life, at this very moment, you can see the results. So, say lust is arising, and you are observing it, and you recognize it is the lust, and there are causes for that to arise, and you recognize that also. What are the causes? And then say aversion arises, and you understand this is the aversion. And Buddha says similarly, when dosa, aversion is recognized as aversion, it is sandittika quality of the Dhamma. And more you do like that, more and more you weakening these defilements now. Now the process is happening. So related to now different all these thoughts have some bottom layer that we call as the influxes or the anusaya. That is the influxus is the asava, anusaya translated as latent tendencies. Anusaya is translated as latent tendencies. So our mind works in a kind of a different patterns. Like, say for example, if I suppose my mind is conditioned to appreciate red color. I like red color. When I see like this, immediately then some kind of a liking arise, some kind of a desire arise for this red color. Suppose I don't like green color. Some of you may not like green color these days. So, so immediately aversion can arise. So likewise, our minds are conditioned. So then we recognize that that conditioning happens in the mind. So all these conditioning we have to recognize. So that is the difficult part. So we are very much like unscrewing the whole mind. Our mind is fairly conditioned and fixed and patterned and very difficult actually. Now, in order to recognize all these patterning available in the mind, fixations available in the mind, so you need to have a fair amount of mindfulness, very fair amount of neutrality without being biased to anything, and again you have to be extremely humble. In order to recognize this is, say, when conceit arises, in just understanding conceit as conceit, in order to understand lust as lust, in order to understand aversion as aversion. So if I am overestimating myself, then I can't recognize. So I have to be on the ground. I have to be as an earthworm. And just as an earthworm, I am just an earthworm. So different things are coming. So I am just as this earthworm, I am recognizing them. It's a really beautiful Dhamma. Yes.
When should I sit through pain and discomfort, noting the pain as pain and waiting for it to recede? When should I adjust my position to try to get more comfortable? Is there a guide or terms, as an example, level of pain or length of time I should absorb?
So, as far as I understand your question, so what you are asking is, say you are going through any kind of meditation object, at that time some pain arising, and at that time you now wants to change the posture, and what's the best way of doing it?
He's saying how long should I watch the pain and stay on it, and then when should I change it, and is there a guide or terms to do that?
So say you are a beginner, what you need to understand is more and more you spend time with the main meditation object, that is the best. Say suppose your main meditation object is Anapanasati, more and more you be with it, more and more useful for you. But while you are doing that, suppose pain now arising. Now it is troubling you, but still you can try to maintain breath. But still now it is too much painful. Now one option is you are simply watching the breath, the same breath, and you are in the background, you are changing the posture without breaking your attention to the breath. Now, but in a side track, you are changing the posture. So then less disturbance for this observation, because you are maintaining this unbroken mindfulness towards the breath. As a side process, you are changing the posture. So that is one approach. Another approach is you are simply shifting your attention from breath to the pain. Breath to the pain, and you are carefully, slowly, mindfully changing the posture. And once you are comfortable, returning back to breath. So there is no big, there is no any trouble or any harm happens during this process either. Because you are maintaining unbroken mindfulness. Your object has changed. Your object first is with the breath. Now you leave it, and now you pay your attention to leg, where the pain is, and now that is your object. And now you are changing the posture, now with full awareness. And now pain reduces, that also you are aware. And once pain disappears, you are returning back to breath. So no change or no harm has happened. So both approaches are valid. Yes. And I mean, you can take enough time. So this question asks how long you need to spend on it. it depends on the situation. Say if there's a if you are doing a slight change of your posture, you can simply do it within a couple of seconds. But if you do a major change, say your leg is in the front, suppose you want to completely put it to the other side or to the back side, it may take a fair long time. So then it may take some time. So it depends on what you do. Yeah.
Theruvan Saranai, Venerable Bhante, can you please explain the following 3 words in different context? Sankhata, Sanskara, Sankhara.
Yeah. Sankhata means, so I'll just use the Buddha's terms. So there's a separate sutta where Buddha is defining about these things. Tinimani bhikkhave lakkhanani sankatani tinimani sankata lakkhanani katamani tini uppado panyayati vayo panyayati titassa anya tattang panyayati. So Buddha is telling there are 3 characteristics of any made object. What are they? You can see the arising of it, and you can see the passing away of it, and you can see the in between the changes are happening. So these are the 3 characteristics Buddha says of any kind of a made object. So everything are made objects. Say for example, this is a made object, and this is a made object. So you accumulate different parts, and then you combine them, and then you are making something. It's a made object. Sankata. And sankhara has a broader meaning. Say for example, it has some roots into dramas and the films and all these things. Say for example, in a drama, so there may be kings or queens, and all these different characters are there in a drama. But they are not real kings. They are not real queens. There's a very, say, poor person is put into various cosmetics and all these things and appeared like a king. There may be a very old woman, and with all cosmetics and all, now appears like a young woman. Now lot of such what you call cosmetics, what you call makeup, yes, making up is happened. So that is where the real sankhara, the roots are available, where the reality is changed. You add certain things, you do some kind of a manipulation, you do some kind of fabrication, and then the whole appearance changed to an entirely different appearance, entirely different showing. And say for example, say you remember your house now, and it may be happening as a very slight mental image in your mind, but once you recognize it, this is the house, now you can add to it. Okay, it is a large house, it may be a big house, it may be a beautiful house, it may be a bad house. So I don't like to go house, I like to go house, tomorrow I will go house. So likewise, now on top of this little image, now you do all these different fabrications, you add little things, and you do all these manipulations mentally. So similarly, say you see this watch, this clock, and if you like it, then you give some value to it, and you do various additions to it. So likewise, many internal fabrications are there, many internal preparations happen onto this seen object, onto this visible object. So likewise, so all these are characteristics of sankhara. All this happens due to sankhara. Say Buddha says, whatever visible object, further we manipulate, further we fabricate, further we prepare, I don't know what other terms, we prepare it more and more, which is feasible or more and more beautiful to ourselves. Sorry? To our likings. It depends on our likes and dislikes. I mean, if you don't like it, you add accordingly. If you like it, you add in that way. So you do your on your own side. There are a lot of spices you mix. Yeah. So these are functions of sankhara, and it happens to all the visible objects, all the sounds, all the say smells, tastes, tactile sensations, and even the thoughts, and even the feelings, even the perceptions. So a lot of manipulations happens inside the mind. So all are actually sankhara. And the bad side is, suppose you consider this body as mine, body is good, body is interesting, nice, beautiful, and all these things, and based on that you can do karma. You can make a lot of actions. So you kill animals, or you steal, you go for sexual misconduct, and all these things, bad things, you accumulate karma. But the root is with the sankhara. Similarly, the words. Say you tell lies, or you do bad things and whatever things. So still the sankhara is there. So you accumulate karma. Similarly, the mind, thoughts are coming, and you don't discard them. Rather, you proliferate with it, and then you again do a lot of thinking. Obsessive thinking happens, and then kind of karma can happen. So now the karma is also related to sankhara. So before you create bodily or verbal or mental karma, the roots are in the sankhara. So what's the other term? Sankata, sankhara, sanskara. Sanskara, actually the Sinhala term of sankhara. Sankhara and sanskara are the same. Sanskara is a Sinhala term we use for sankhara. And sankhara has another meaning. Buddha says, now bodily actions are the outcome, but under bodily actions there is the very basic, very root level bodily action is there. That is nothing but in-breath and out-breath, respiration, asasa passasa. So that is called kaya sankharo. That is the beginning of all the bodily process. And again, the vachi sanskara, you are talking, you are singing, you are reciting, and all these things related to the verbal actions. The very root is the vitakka vichara. So the applied thought and the sustained thought. So that is the root. And again, Buddha says thinking happens, various thinking happens. So the root is the Vedana and Sanya, the feeling and the perception. So likewise, what you have to understand is the outer appearance is what causing the karma. But underneath, there's all these roots available. They are very subtle. So Buddha explains these things, and so the meditation actually helps to completely eliminate all these sankhara. Say for example, you are sitting. Say you are doing anapanasati. Now you are sitting cross-legged. How about your kaya sankhara? That means the bodily activities. Are you doing any bodily activities? Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, say giving dana and worshipping and all those things. Are any of these bodily activities involved when you are cross-legged? No. So all very gross level bodily activities are cut away. And then the verbal activities, say you are not talking, you are not lying, you are not say gossiping, and any of these, those are also not present. And you are not talking either. You are not preaching, none of them are there. So kusala and akusala, wholesome and unwholesome, all say the gross level verbal actions are also not there. Now that's a big turn actually. That's a big turn. And then now you are coming to the mind. And suppose, say if I explain you in the samatha side, now suppose a person attains first jhana. Vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. So those are the main qualities available in first jhana. So there vitakka and vichara is there. Now we are coming to the very root level. If you can remember the mental sankhara, mental formations, The root level is vitakka and vichara. Now in the first jhana it is available, but if some person goes to the second jhana, it is also not there. Now you are eliminating all the vitakka vichara. So there are no thoughts, rather there are no even thinking happens. Utterly quiet. Vachi sanskara completely cut away now. And suppose if one reaches the fourth jhana, then even the asasa passasa is not there. Respiration process also stops if one attains it 100%. Then there is no kaya sankhara at all. No gross bodily actions and no even the very subtle bodily action. Asasa passasa also disappears. And but still the sankhara is there. So the avidya paccaya sankhara, the ignorance is there. So that is where the vipassana is most important. So that's why before Buddha, so people like whatever the yogis, they have understood to some extent. Now sankhara has a big value or big attribute related to the ongoing rebirth cycle, but they couldn't address the ignorance. They couldn't address the ignorance, that is the very root cause of sankhara. That is the Buddha's realization. That is the Buddha's understanding or the revelation. That is his finding. Where Buddha says these sankharas are there, but they can't arise by themselves. That there's a big cause for that. That is a major proximate cause for these sankharas to appear. That is the ignorance. So he is attacking the ignorance now. And once ignorance is cut through, then you come to the sabba sankhara samatha, completely overcoming sankhara, complete stilling of sankhara. So what is complete stilling of sankhara? That is nibbana. Sabba sankhara samato. Sabba sankhara samato is the nibbana, complete stilling of sankhara. So that is the finding of the Buddha. Yeah. So very interesting topic and very deep subject. So every vipassana technique, if it is correct, so we have to address this. So the gross level sankhara as well as the subtle level sankhara, we have to cut through. And that only happens by cutting through the ignorance. And the ignorance has to be slowly eliminated. The wisdom has to arise, and then we reach in the nibbana. At least we can understand, okay, we are going in the correct direction because the sankharas are now stilling. At least for some time, I can maintain a free mind. I can maintain some, free mind without thoughts. No thinking happens. No proliferation happens. Then a fair amount of stilling of formations are there. So you are experiencing, at least for some time, some mental formations are absent. Body formations are already absent. Maybe asasa pasasa is going on, but the mental formations are absent. And the verbal formations, vitakka vichara, are also absent. So likewise, you can recognize, okay, am I in line with Buddha's finding? Am I in line with the path to nibbana? Or am I in a wrong path? Yes. Yeah, that's all the written questions. So it's 2:30, 2:35. So if you have any verbal question, you can go for that, or otherwise we can wind up the session. Okay, if there is no any other question, so we'll wind up the question and answer session. So thank you very much for interesting questions. Okay, Sukhi Hotu.